one of our very dearest friends, just a few days ago passed from the world. I'd like to speak something about him. Because if you open your ears and your hearts to hear what I'm about to say, it will help us all to really understand what is the spirit of Vrindavan. His name, Madan Mohan Brajwasi. He was a Brajwasi from Koshi. Generation, countless generations, as far as I know, as far as time could trace out, his family has lived in Vrindavan, Brajbhumi. And the first time I met him, years and years ago, I had to cry. He was so humble, so sweet, so pure. He just had such natural, spontaneous love for Krishna. And absolutely no trace of envy or ego could we detect in him. He was just a simple, pure Brajvasi. And when he sang kirtan, it was so effortless. It just flowed from his heart. It flowed from his soul, his atma, with love through his mouth. He was perhaps the most popular singer in all of Brajbhumi. For about 30 years, I was told, every day, I think from 5 to 6 o'clock at night, on the All Vrindavan radio station, they would have recordings of him singing. And All India Radio in Delhi, he would record, and they would play special shows regularly. But yet, he just loved to serve. He could sing Krishna's names day and night. He would sometimes come to Mumbai. I could speak for hours. Can I tell you one story about him? When I was at the bedside of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, during his last days with us in this world, we had an agreement that whatever time we spent together all day, we would only talk about Krishna and Lord Chaitanya and the great saints and our beloved Guru Maharaj and the Vaishnavas. Because from the medical perspective, he was supposed to pass from the world every day. When I came, they said he had most 3 days. And I was with him 8 weeks. So that means every day he could go. So the conversations, the kirtans were very deep. Nothing superficial meant anything. One day, it was in the last 1 or 2 weeks, I got a phone call that the Brajvasis that I've known for 43 years now, some of them were coming, they were in America doing kirtan and speaking from the Srimad Bhagavat. And they really wanted to see me. But I knew that usually they're either in Washington, D.C., or New York, or California, or New Jersey. And here I am in the middle of Pennsylvania, And I promised I wouldn't leave Bhakti Tirtha Swami. I would be at his bedside as long as he was still living with us. So they really wanted to see me. So I said, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm able to come, but find out where they are. And somebody called me back and said, they're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is just a 45-minute drive. So I said to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, do I have your permission to go? And actually, I'll try to bring them back to sing for you. And he said, yes, you go. He said, I promise I will stay alive until you get back. So I said, promise? He said, I can't, I'm not the controller, but I promise that's my wish. So I went and I called, are you still alive? Yes, yes, I'm fine. Every now and then I call, are you still alive? Yes, yes. Because he said, I want to die in your arms. And I promised him, so I had to be there. So I went, and they were at some home, Panditji, Narasimha Baba, Giridhar, and Madan Mohanji. They were performing kirtan, Madan Mohanji. And we had prasad, and I told him my friend, he could die any day. Will you come back with me to sing? They said, yes, we will come. So I had a van. So we were driving, and we came back. We came into Bhakti Tirtha Swami's room. He was laying in his bed, couldn't sit up. And Madan Mohan Brajwasi began to sing a beautiful song about Srimati Radharani and Krishna. In his very pure, spontaneous, loving spirit. And he sang with such simple, sweet devotion. When someone chants Krishna's names or prayers of Sri Radha without ego, with sincere affection, the power of the name can penetrate to our very soul. As Madan Mohan Brajwasi was singing, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he went into a state of total ecstasy. There were only a few of us in the room, but his disciples, who were his caretakers, they had never, ever seen him in this state before. He was uncontrollably crying, not just crying, wailing. I can't try to imitate him. But he was, he was crying out Krishna's name. Tears, torrents of tears were flowing and pouring from his eyes. His limbs were trembling, and he was just crying out loud. And Madan Mohanji was just sitting there singing. He's just a very small man. Everyone was crying. To see Bhakti Tirtha Swami connect to the holy name in that way, all of us had that experience with him. It was incredible. It went on and on. And when finally Madan Mohan Brajwasi ended the singing, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was beside himself. With a choked voice, he said that I wanted to leave my body in Vrindavan, but I wanted to show the world that wherever there is a temple of my Guru Maharaj, that is Vrindavan. So I decided to leave my body here. He said, but Srimati Radharani and Shyam Sundar, Vrindavan came to me in the form of a Brajwasi to bless me before I die. He was so thankful. It was something beautiful. While I was with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, taking care of him, I got a phone call from Mumbai that our very dear devotee Stoka Krishna Prabhu had just been diagnosed with the worst possible type of cancer. They said he had 3 weeks to live. I spoke to him on the phone. I've told the story so many times. He was only 32 years old. He was just married about 2 years or 3 years before. He just had a baby. Beautiful little girl. But he was telling me, why is this happening to me? Why am I so fortunate that I had so many opportunities in my life to hear Srimad Bhagavatam? Why am I so fortunate that I had so many opportunities to chant the holy name, to be in the association of devotees, to offer arti, to attend arti, to serve? I don't deserve this. I'm so fortunate. That was his mood. He was always smiling and grateful. That was in June. After Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj passed away from the world with hundreds of people around him chanting, crying in love and gratitude. It was the most beautiful departure possible. Then I was coming back to India. The sirens were going off in the airplane, and they announced an emergency landing. The entire control system of the airplane went out. And they would have to land at about 500 miles an hour. And they kept telling the announcement, put your head between your legs. And everybody knew that very likely we are going to die. It was very suspenseful. And I remember I was chanting and I was thinking, Bhakti Tirtha Swami was dying, and everywhere in the world people were praying for him and blessing him, and I'm going to probably die and nobody's saying anything for me. It's just me and the holy name and Prabhupada. I have to, I was chanting in that state. It was without doubt the best japa I ever had on an airplane in my life. We were bouncing on the runway, and there were all fire engines with their hoses and ambulances all around the plane, and we were bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And somehow, the plane landed. And the fire hose were all around us because they told us at any second that we could be on fire. And finally, the plane started moving. And the pilot said, "We are sorry for the inconvenience." But thank you for flying with us. And we hope that next time you fly, you choose British Airways. And that was such an emotional experience for me. Every time I come from India or to India, I go British Airways. Just out of gratitude, because I was... in my own fallen little way, when everybody else was like screaming and crying, I was Hare Krishna. I was actually having a glimpse of Radharani and Krishna while I was chanting. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that in his abode, the spiritual world, there is no need for sun or moon or electricity. Wherever there's a need for sun or moon or electricity, there will be anxiety. That's why his abode is Vaikunta. I'm trying to philosophically give a lesson to what just happened. Should I try? There is Sambhog and Vipralamba. There is union and separation. And separation actually increases the experience of love and happiness when there is reunion. And when we take that divine principle and reflect it within this world, it is said, absence makes the heart grow fonder. That sometimes we don't understand the value of something or someone until we lose them. It's human nature to take things for granted. But when something's taken away, then we understand how valuable it is. So we've been sitting here and talking and thinking and speaking and so many hours, but we're not thinking, oh, how nice that by Krishna's grace we have, by Sri Radharani's grace, we're in Vrindavan and we have this electricity where we could actually hear. Yes? We take it for granted. But then it's taken away. And now we understand the value of having a sound system to hear. So it's very nice. So I got off the airplane and met with Stoka Krishna Prabhu on Advaitacharya's appearance day. A very, very holy day in January. Stoka Krishna Prabhu was going through the very last stages. The night before, or it was maybe I saw that he was going, and he was fully conscious. And I said, Stoka Krishna Prabhu, I believe Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and Sri Radha Gopinath are waiting for you at the other side of that doorway. And he said, I'm ready to go. And he was smiling. He said, I know that they're waiting for me, and I could feel them waiting for me. And I have no attachments in this world. I'm ready. And he was so sincere and so humble and so simple. The next day, I was chanting at his bedside with him. But I was up most of the night, so I was really tired. So I decided to go to my room to rest for a few minutes. So as soon as I laid on the straw mat on the floor, somebody knocked on my door. I was thinking, oh, who is this? So I opened the door, and these devotees, I don't know who they were. They said, we just came from Vrindavan, and we have garlands from Radha Govinda temple, and Radha Shamsundar, and Krishna Balaram, and from Radha Raman. And we have water from Radha Kund and Yamuna and Govinda Kund, and they were giving me all these things, and just piles of garlands and all these different little vessels of water. So I went to Stoka Krishna, he's laying there, and I put all the garlands on him and sprinkled all the water on him and put all tulsi leaves from all different places, Seva Kunj and Nidhuban and the lotus feet of all the deities of Vrindavan, I put it on him. And the kirtan's going on. And then I went in my room and laid down. So I got up. I opened the door. Somebody had just come from Govardhan. And they had the garlands and the tulsi leaves from Raghunath Das Goswami's Samadhi. And dust from Govardhan Hill. So I went in and sprinkled it all on Stoka Krishna, and he's just laying there like this. And I went in again to my room to try to get a few minutes rest. I opened the door. It's Madan Mohan Brajwasi. And I just was with him when he was singing for Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj just before he left. And I thought, this is such a blessing. I said, would you like to sing kirtan for Stoka Krishna Prabhu? Yes. He doesn't speak English, but he was just, he could do kirtan day, night, anytime. So he sat and he was playing a harmonium and he was singing and everyone was chanting and I was sitting at the bedside and Stoka Krishna was covered with garlands and tulsi leaves and chandan from all the holy places. And that's how he left this world. Now, Madan Mohan Brajwasi, his favorite song. It's a beautiful Brajwasi song where he's singing about how his greatest prayer in life is to sweep Sri Radharani's palace, to sweep the steps of Sri Radharani's home, to sweep the forest pathways of Gabravan and Barsana and Sri Vrindavan. This is the prayer. Let this be my only desire, just to sweep the pathways and the steps for Sri Radha Krishna in their abode. And he sang this for so many years. He was 83 years old. He was living at Man Mandir. And every day, as far as I understand, even though he was such a famous singer, such a great, great saintly person, he would spend over 2 hours all alone just sweeping the steps that leading to Radharani and Krishna's temple. Sweep all the way from the top to the bottom, sweeping. Nobody noticed him. Nobody cared about him. He would just be blissfully sweeping and singing these songs. And the day before Sarat Purnima, he was all alone, sweeping the steps to Shri Radha Govindi's temple, and Sri Radharani took his life. What he sang his whole life and what he gave his life to was his final moment while sweeping the steps of Sri Radha's temple. He passed from the world. But this is how we appreciate Vrindavan. To be a sweeper in Vrindavan is such a blessing.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on devotionalnectar.com.